Graves, your host on The Power of Money, and I'm honored to have you as a part of my world in this coming segment. With The Power of Money, as you know, we are interested in three things. First, that you get the necessary education so that you and your family will have the information to do well in these difficult times. The second thing I'm interested in is for you to be empowered to prosper. I want only the best for you, but you can't get that if you don't have the education and then the drive to make it happen. And the final thing, and perhaps the most important thing, is that you be energized. Because life is more than a journey. Life is about living. And so I want you to learn these things and to be empowered and encouraged and energized. I'm Michelle Graves. Now here we go.
And welcome to today's segment of The Power of Money. I'm your host, Michelle Graves, and welcome. Today's guest is a familiar face on this show, and he's an extraordinary individual, Dr. Rick Howard, naturopathic doctor who specializes in, again, a natural approach to healing and restoration. Today we're going to be talking about the flu epidemic, what it is not, and how you can begin to take the necessary steps to prepare yourself and your family. Again, that's the focus. So based upon an article I read yesterday, there are over 4,000 people a week who are being impacted by the flu. And this is apparently the largest epidemic we've experienced in this country in some time. So without further ado, let's get on into the show. And again, welcome. How are you, sir?
Good to be back.
Good to be back as always. What can we say about this?
The flu.
Ugh.
The flu. Everybody's talking about the flu.
Yeah.
And
everybody's sick.
if you had to say what the flu is, I ask people, what is the flu?
What is it?
And it's much debated, but medically speaking, it is a viral infection, okay, that generally deals with the lungs, the respiratory system, some sinus areas and things like that, but mostly a viral infection, which is opposed to a bacterial infection. Now, there could be a secondary bacterial infection, but flu is it's viral, and so
it means it's spread. How does it spread?
droplets in the air.
Okay.
You can get it from handling, you shaking hands with somebody and they didn't wash their hands. You know, and then they want to shake your hands and you're paralyzed, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
oh my goodness, where's my alcohol?
But you know, I'm sure as we get into it, we want to talk about why is it that when you go and you say, oh, I've been in the classroom with all these kids and they were all sick, so I got sick.
Well, if it's a virus, and you just said that its transmission is airborne through particulates in the air and possibly from doorknobs and paper and pens, and I mean, that's just about everything.
Well,
if it transmits like that.
Well, and I said that's really medically how they understand that too. But I think that the question we want to ask is why 20 people in the room get sick and 5 don't? Why is it that everybody doesn't get the flu? If this is the worst epidemic we've had since 2006, 2009, what's making it that way? Is it just some uncontrollable force that this virus is just going to have its way until we can convince it to go out? Does everybody need to get a vaccine? And you know, what are we saying with that?
Well, Dr. Rick, you may smack my hands, but I didn't get a vaccine, and I'm not sick. And everybody that got a vaccine that I know got sick.
Well, it's funny you say that. My son, we were discussing, my oldest son, he was saying he works in a hospital, administrator, and he said the management was saying everybody should get the flu vaccine. And he said, when they came to him, he said, no thanks. And they said, what? You're not going to get this vaccine? He said, no thanks. So he said 2 to 3 days later, everybody that got the vaccine, started getting the sick, and many of them got the flu.
So what happened? This is creepy.
I don't think that is unusual. I don't think that is, because from my perspective, that's not how your body works. That's not how your immunity works. My immunity doesn't necessarily depend on yours. But medically, this medical idea has been around a few years of herd immunity.
Makes me think of cows.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Okay,
so
herd immunity.
Herd immunity. So it's saying you and I are part of a herd.
Okay, okay.
We aren't individuals. We're part of the herd.
Okay, we
right?
don't have individual
well, we do,
pattern.
but it's the patterning for the disease, pathology is communal. So that means they're getting infected and you're not. It's because you should take that vaccine. You should take that vaccine, they say, so that I won't get sick.
I should take this so that you won't get sick. Because
that
I will be functioning as a carrier. Am I a carrier?
So you make yourself safer to be in the herd.
Okay, so if I'm the bad girl and I won't take this thing for the H1N1, even though the virus is an H3N3, it's a mutant, but the fact that I didn't do it means I expose everybody else to the risk?
That's their thought.
That's interesting. That's interesting. You call it a herd?
Herd immunity.
Immunity.
So even when you have, they say, the virus is not matching the vaccine.
Okay.
They say, well, it still benefits you.
Well, this is what I keep trying to figure out. How does this happen?
Because it's almost like saying, I was thinking about this today, it's almost like saying, they say, okay, this virus for this year transmutated from another one.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is guessing which way it'll go, how it will transmutate, and then they make up a billion doses of this vaccine. The real reason why they want you to go ahead and take it, I believe, has very little to do with it's still going to protect you. It has to do with compensating those companies so that they will keep doing this process. Because if they made 1 billion doses of this vaccine and nobody buys it, then they've taken a huge loss, and they're going to say, well, I'm not doing that again. So
listen,
that's why the government buys that.
Yes.
They'll buy that, then they'll say, here
you must.
You take this.
Right.
And so.
And the pressure is intense.
It is.
I'm serious. Everybody that works in hospitals is mandated to take this, dental facilities, etc. And yet, when I went to my dentist a week ago, everybody was sick.
Well,
and I was like, ooh-wee, they were like, Miss Grace, we're so sorry because everybody is sick. And I said, because you're dealing with an open mouth,
Well, I think there's two things that I would bring to the surface about this is, number one, trying to understand how immunity really works.
Well, let's talk about that.
From my perspective, it's, okay, there's bacteria on everything.
Yes.
Okay. Now.
And in us.
In fact, cell-wise, we are more bacteria than anything else.
Yes.
Okay. This is important because, okay, people have this hand sanitizer, and they're putting it on this, they're spraying it on that, they're doing this. That's the worst thing you can do.
Oh my goodness. Well, I don't believe in hand sanitizers. I'm an alcohol person, but talk to me about what do you mean that's a bad thing?
Well, the way that the bacterial community, if I can speak for them for
Okay, please do. Okay.
The way that they interact is if you clean this environment, so the environment we're making sterile.
Right, exactly.
We don't want a sterile environment because that's against nature. That's artificial. Nothing in this world is sterile normally. It may be clean,
but it's not
sterile. Because we need bacteria to help us digest, to help our immunity, to help us do everything. We break down our foods.
Yes, we do.
We need that bacteria. So when we're spraying all these things
and killing bacteria,
we're killing it. We're killing what we need as well. So that will lower our immunity.
Oh my gosh!
You see?
You know, that's counterintuitive, though.
It is.
What you're saying.
It is.
That does not ring right.
Okay, let me give you a practical example, which happens to a lot of people when they get the flu. A lot of people get the flu and they say, oh, I've got the flu, and they're throwing up. They can't eat anything. They just can't keep it down. Sometimes it gets so bad you can't even keep water down. Why is that? So I had a young lady I'm kind of working with. She has not the flu, but another process, and it really doesn't matter what it is. See, that's the other thing. This is one entity, this is another entity, this is another entity. That's a bad way to think about it. Your body doesn't read, your body doesn't think about, it doesn't read food labels. All it does is says, what are you presenting me? Okay.
And do I want it or not?
And can I receive it or not?
Okay.
See, it's not making a judgment of does it want it, because if you take strychnine, it's going to just take it right in. It's not going to work, okay, this is what you're giving me. It's asking the question, can I receive this?
Okay, okay.
Bacteria is what makes that happen. See, bacteria enables the enzymes to receive food and says, okay, I can take that. And so if there's no bacteria or an imbalance, I've got this much bad, so to speak, and this much good, there's an imbalance. So the body cannot really receive that food, so it just goes out as diarrhea. It's a bacterial imbalance.
Oh my goodness.
It has nothing to do with whether this virus is influenza B or this or FYZ. It has to do with what's the balance of bacteria in your body. So what I had this girl do, because she couldn't keep anything, she couldn't eat anything, and I said, are you taking prednisone? Yes. I said, how did I know? Are you taking this, that? She was taking several things. Prednisone automatically lowers your immunity.
How does it do that?
It does that because your adrenal system which the adrenal glands are really right on top of the kidneys, okay? The adrenal gland is what I call the activator of the body. If you feel tired, then your body sends a message to the adrenal system, say, hey, I'm worn out, can you help me? And then it just kind of punches you up.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, that's the same thing happens when you see this dog chasing you. Have you ever thought you were tired when the dog
showed up?
You don't think about that at all.
No, you go into
everything
run
is
mode.
Ramped up because the adrenal system says, you ain't got time to be tired.
No, you got to run.
You're going to be caught, you better run.
Right.
And you do your record.
Yep.
Okay, so the same thing works with immunity. But prednisone imitates the hormones that are produced there, And so the adrenal gland says, oh, you're going to produce that? Okay, I'll just sit here and wait. I'm not
Oh
going to
my
do anything.
goodness.
So that your body is not responding to the challenges internally or externally the way it should. So then that's why when you stop prednisone or some of these other steroids, there's a letdown. You're exhausted. You're this because
now you got to jumpstart your body.
You got to jumpstart it again.
Oh my goodness.
So when it comes to immunity, that's critical because we do a lot of things, and this gets to why is it that people get sick? Why do certain people get sick?
And
certain
others
people
don't.
Okay. There are, and I'll call it. There are probably, let's just say, about 7 things that build a foundation, and they are so simple for your immunity to be right. Okay. If these things are out of balance, or if they are somewhat out of balance, then you will not survive the onslaught. It's like the bacteria is going to come and say, "Are you home? You better get away from my door." Oh, okay.
Okay, got it. I was just checking. Knock,
so
knock, knock.
It's going to go away.
Okay.
But if it goes, "Are you home?" and there's no one there in the space that it's trying to get, it says, "Hey guys, let's go. Nobody's home." And it comes in and begins to inhabit that. Why? Not because the virus is so strong. It's because you left the door open
for it
or
to
left
come in.
the key hanging on the side.
Well, let's talk about what people need to do. And these are people that don't have the flu.
People that don't have the flu.
Don't have the flu. What they need to do now to make sure, and they haven't taken any shots.
No shots.
No shots. They're out here in the wind. And what do they need to do now? What do I need to do now?
So that's a funny thing that you ask. I mean, because doctors and the medical community say that it's a lack of the vaccine, that you're lacking the vaccine.
That's why I'm healthy?
That's why you're sick. That's what causes you to be sick.
So if I don't have the vaccine and I am not sick, what do I need to do now to continue?
Let's don't skip that point just so quickly.
Okay, well, let's go back.
Because I want to make sense of where we are going.
Okay.
So when your baby was born and you talk to your kids and you say, what did you say to them every morning? Did you have your vaccine yet? Did you drink your vaccine? Don't forget, when you come home from school, take your vaccine. What did you? No, you didn't say that.
No.
What did you say?
Oh.
You told them about eating.
Yes.
You better go to sleep.
Yes, got to get your sleep.
They run around. Mom, can we go outside and play around?
Depends on the temperature.
Depends on even I don't know about you, but when I was little, I was out there no matter what the temperature was like. I didn't want to stay inside.
Right. Boys don't want to.
Oh, no.
No, boys want to go. My grandson, he doesn't care. He's like, I got my buds. I'm out.
Yeah. So what am I saying? It's life that you need. We live in such an artificial time that we have replaced the natural processes of the body with other things. So we're really not living. And our immunity is a report card on how well we are living.
Oh my goodness.
See? So
oh my good.
Did you know?
Oh my goodness.
That if you don't drink enough water, your immunity goes down. Your metabolism goes down.
Just from not drinking enough water.
From not drinking enough water.
What is your definition of enough water? Because I get different reports on that.
Well, the thing is, that's often debated.
Yeah.
Because you'll have, in some communities, they'll say, well, you don't need a lot of water because you get it in the things you eat, you get it in your coffee, you get it in this. And that
But what
is
about pure water?
absolutely wrong. Okay. Coffee, let's take that. For a lot of people who do coffee, coffee actually creates a deficit of water in your body.
It dehydrates.
Because it dehydrates. It has uric acid, a uric acid clone.
Okay.
Caffeine is kind of a uric acid clone. Theobromide is a uric acid clone. So they are going to take the body's water resources, not give.
Okay.
So you wind up with an imbalance.
Okay.
Okay. So it depends on how what water you drink, what foods you eat.
Okay, let's stop right there. So we're talking about water, and you need to up your intake of water. Lots of water.
Yeah, I think that for most people, I usually give a generalization.
Okay,
I'll
please
say,
do.
Generalized, you're going to have a half ounce of water for every pound of body weight.
Okay.
So if I weigh about 220,
Okay.
okay, so I need 110 ounces minimally a day.
And that translates to?
A little less than a gallon.
Okay.
A little less than a gallon.
Okay. Well, that's my
So-
my litmus. I do a gallon a day.
So I think the other thing is, but if you have chronic ailments, that changes that dynamic.
More water.
More water.
Whoa, okay.
So here we are. We're focusing in on that. So that's one of the dynamics. There's plenty of water. You've got sleep.
Okay.
Your body builds its immunity based on sleep and sleep patterns. So your body produces human growth hormone.
Okay.
But it only does it at certain times. The human growth factor is what repairs things in your body. It fixes, oh, you're a little lagging here. Let me lift this up. It fixes it. But it only makes that substance at certain times.
And what are the times?
Let's see. If you're vigorously exercising.
Okay, which most people aren't.
Most people don't.
Okay, let's just cut that.
Okay, unless you're running and you're playing basketball several times, you're not vigorously exercising.
Right.
Okay. The other time, and the most abundant time when it makes it about 71%, and I don't know how they determine exactly 71, but they say if you are not asleep between the hours of 9 p.m. and 1 a.m., you missed the window.
For the production.
For 71% of this stuff that builds up your body.
Well, may I just interject and ask a question? Because most people are not asleep at 9 at night.
That's true.
And most people today, and let me just excuse this, to my viewing audience, I took some wonderful medication this morning to clear out my sinuses, and I am draining on set. So beg your forgiveness while I'm doing this right now. But continue on.
So the thing is, you're setting yourself up by staying up till 1 o'clock or till midnight or till whatever on a regular basis. Oh, I got something really I want to see. So you're not going to bed till 11:30 or 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock.
So you miss that window for your body.
So your body has resources.
Right.
And you just kind of begin wearing those resources down.
Wow.
So when the flu comes, it says, is anybody home? No. Okay,
good.
Now it's got you. But it comes to a person who says, no, I need plenty of water. I'm not eating junk food. I'm exercising. I'm getting out in fresh air.
Right.
I'm doing all those. I'm getting my sleep at the appropriate time. See, the time that you go to sleep before midnight is twice as good as the time after midnight.
I didn't know that.
So your body does
that.
not do anything on a helter-skelter schedule.
So actually, between 9 and 12, you better be in bed.
You should be
Period.
in bed, or else you miss the
You've missed that.
opportunity to armor up.
Well, I'm going to be candid with you because I'm a early riser, but I think I'm staying up too late.
When you stay up too late, your body will respond by not being able to get rid of waste as cleanly as it should.
Okay.
It's going to affect the mental processes because at night, when you should be asleep, is when the brain does its reconfiguring.
Oh, that's
and strengthening.
unbelievable.
So I mean,
That is just like a computer.
If we studied that process and talked about that, that would be intriguing, because they used to think that your brain goes to sleep at night.
No, it cleans.
Your brain rearranges based on what you have said are your priorities. So you have watched Batman all day.
Okay.
Well, what do you dream about?
Batman.
Okay, because you've told your brain that's a priority for me. Well, by staying up, you've told your body there's an emergency. So the adrenaline, the cortisol levels raise. And now your body living in a heightened state of emergency.
My gosh.
The immune system just keeps going down because you're using up resources that should be emergency resources.
Right.
And now you're using them just to watch Batman, the third episode. You know?
This is so interesting.
So
I'm thinking about this now.
Most of our country lives.
Yeah.
They're eating at night when their stomach wants to rest.
Right.
You should ask Wendy's, can you eat great even late? Can you?
Can you?
You really can't.
You can't.
You see, because this stomach says, I need to rest. Most people experience pain at night because the kidneys does its work at night too, of cleansing. That's why there's more swelling, there's more joint pain. I had a rough night because the kidney's saying, I got to do this work. So your body prioritizes these things. All of how well you have prioritized all these processes, that's reflected in how strong your immunity is.
Woo.
So it has nothing to do with what Charlie has done.
Right. It has everything to do with you.
You just expose yourself to Charlie, and then you reveal either your strength or your weakness.
So that is the reason that if you have not attended to we've talked about two things, the water issue, we've talked about the sleep issue, which I am guilty of. I am so serious about this as I look at what is it about my lifestyle that is frustrating. It is, in my opinion, that I am not getting what I call restful sleep. I sleep. When I go to sleep, I sleep. I sleep until I wake up for prayer. I get up every morning and have a quiet time. But that 9 o'clock mandate is tough.
Well,
I'm just being open with you. That's tough.
It has taken me a while to get to 9:30ish.
Yes.
You know,
well, the news doesn't even come on until 10.
What I have decided to do about that is my wife loved Rachel Maddow.
Okay. I
we
like Rachel
tape
too.
it.
Okay.
And then watch it the next evening earlier.
Okay, before you go to bed.
Yeah.
That's an idea.
You know, I mean, it's to me, it's about prioritizing and your immunity with this flu epidemic. Now, why now?
Yes.
Rather than last year or the year before? It's a combination of things. There's a greater challenge against poverty-stricken resources. And there was no challenge there last year. But now that there's a challenge, it's not that all of a sudden this monster is stronger. It's revealing that we are weaker.
Oh, gosh.
You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. So the people, just as a scientist, I'm looking at the people that are not sick are the people you need to be looking at.
That's where we need to be focusing and saying,
what are they doing?
Yeah, what did they do? But see, the medical community, like I said, is not interested in life.
Got it.
They're not interested in life. They're interested in vaccination. They're interested in herd immunity. You do what I do, even if it's wrong. I had a client years ago who got the flu shot, and it paralyzed her from here down.
Oh, geez.
Now, I had never heard of that years ago. And when it was a condition called transverse myelitis. And when I looked into it, it was happening to not 1 or 10 or a million people.
A million people?
It's like, okay, if this came from a flu shot and she won a settlement.
And she should have.
Why haven't you heard about that?
Right. Why haven't you heard?
And then why is everybody getting sick? But see, they'll call me a quack and you crazy if you don't want the vaccine.
Right.
And it's pushed hard by scientific community, medical community. They say, look, herd immunity, vaccinations, that's where it is. There's all sorts of things about thimerosal in the vaccines, the mercury content, et cetera, that has been bandied about, and then they'll say, well, we've checked it out, there's no evidence that, well, what do you call evidence? Why is it that so many people who take the flu shot get sick? They really don't explain that. Why does that happen? If this is helping me, why am I getting sick?
Well, and what it also does, Dr. Howard, is that it creates such a fear factor amongst the general population. As I said last night when I read in Fortune magazine, their digital content, it says 4,000 people a week are getting sick in this country.
You got to look at, we live in a different reporting environment than we did 10 years ago.
Got it.
Okay, so they're a lot more sensitive to collecting that data than they were
then.
10 years ago or 20 years ago. Now, back in 1918, 1919, there was the deadliest epidemic of flu. It was called Spanish flu. I think it killed like 500 million people worldwide.
Oh,
now
no.
You got to understand, the population it wasn't like it was back in 1918, like it was today.
Today, right?
And for worldwide, 500. I mean, this
that's
was
a plague.
this was like a third of the world's population at the time
died
from the flu. Why? Okay, this is Rick Howard. Okay.
Okay.
If you look at the 1900s, it was called the Industrial Age. Okay?
Yes.
Everything, steamships, Henry Ford.
Yes.
You know,
coal.
But they also started to supply Henry Ford's factories. He built housing, a new type of housing, what we would call bungalow or apartment style. They didn't have that before.
Okay.
Now everybody's crowded into these small spaces, not sanitation.
Okay.
You know, they didn't have weekly garbage pickup. So they were a lot more crowded into that. You were getting this transition that China's seeing now from rural to city. That's when it was happening in America. You had this transition. So the world was setting itself up for this. Now, why that happened all over the world, blah, blah, blah. Things were happening all over the world. It wasn't just America undergoing an industrial revolution.
Okay.
And I don't know why, when the Wright brothers were figuring out flight, people in France were doing the same thing.
Right.
People in other places
Right,
were
right,
doing the same
right.
thing. So there was this movement towards mechanization away from a natural rhythmic lifestyle.
Okay.
People on the farm, they lived a rhythmic lifestyle.
And didn't get sick.
They got up super early.
Went
They
to
went to
bed.
bed super early, right?
Yeah.
So they were more in rhythm with how does dopamine get activated? Sunlight. When does it stop? Nightfall. What happens at nightfall? Melatonin gets made so that you sleep, the sleep cycle. So when you disrupt that cycle, again, your immunity comes down.
Wow.
You see?
Got it. I really got it. So what's the third point?
So I think the other part, though, is active engagement.
Okay.
I want you to do things to me. I don't want to have to do for myself.
For myself.
You
Let me
know,
go and let you give me a shot.
Well, I'm not going to eat right, but I can take this pill if I don't eat right.
Right.
I can put a TENS unit and stimulate my muscles and get bulk instead of exercising or
right.
going out and doing something good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to go out and do something good. I'll just sit here. I'll
let
send
you
a check
do, and you
I'll
tend to me.
You see, to me, we have stopped living. And that's why we are more sensitive when the things come to us and challenge us. Let me see. Are you, boom. I had a lady in my office yesterday. She was having, well, I'll tell this, a week ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, I had a doctor come to my office.
Okay.
Hurting. Could hardly walk down steps and things. Okay. What's the problem? Well, it's arthritis. Well, what is arthritis?
What is arthritis? Yes.
So what we did was, we didn't deal with arthritis. I don't know how to deal with arthritis. Okay.
Okay.
So what we deal with is waste in a place, moving it out.
Okay.
Once we did that, she didn't have that problem anymore. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
For the immediate time until she built a little bit more trash.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's the same way with your immunity. It's not, in my opinion, a disease. It's really a report card. It's
of
really
what
telling
you're,
how you're living. Are you sleeping, drinking water, eating right, exercising, getting fresh air instead of staying where air is always stagnant?
Oh, yes. No circulation.
And then what are you using to get well? I mean, women want this supple skin, and I don't blame them, you know. I like to see that too.
Yes.
But they're using horse pee to do it. You see what I'm saying?
You sound like me,
See?
which is why are you doing this to yourself?
I mean, rat poison we're putting to help ourselves.
Yes.
Well, is that really helping you? See, we don't ask the questions. Is this really a part of a natural rhythm of living? I tell people all the time, I don't deal with medicine. I'm not a medical doctor. I don't deal with medicine. I'm not trying to deal with medicine. I'm not trying to deal with diseases, so to speak.
Right.
I'm dealing with living.
Right.
Which intersects with your health. But I'm trying to teach you how to live such a balanced life that physically even you don't have those same challenges because you're living a balanced life. You're living an appropriate life. Where most people are trying to teach them, take this, even for herbalists. I run into herbalists and they'll say, well, what do you use for this? What do you take? I said, there's no herb that is going to magically make your life this or that. That's like you viewing herbs like medicine.
Right.
And they are two different things.
Right.
Okay. Herbs work usually with the processes of the body. I don't know so much about all herbs.
Yes.
You know, the cannabis, I'm not so sure about that. But medicine makes the body do something. Diuretics force
the body.
to do something. You don't live by force. You don't force your will on someone else. Even if you don't agree, you don't force what you want on someone else.
Do you think that this whole, I hate to be this cynical about it because I've had some recent experiences with the medical industry and doctors, and when I sit down and explain to them my philosophy, and I always caveat it with, you know, I am by training a biochemist, so I'm always looking at things and digging, and you just can't tell me to do that and not think I'm going to research it, particularly when the science is now available. There's no hidden secrets. All the research can be found if you're willing to take a little bit of time and research it. And there seems to be a disdain even, as if to say, well, we have the answer. And I'm saying that I'm not a person that intimidates quickly, but I can imagine an average everyday person sitting at their doctor and trying to find answers and being told, no, this is what you do. And then end of story.
Well, I think the community, the medical community, and I don't want to paint with a
sweeping brush,
but the system of the medical paradigm in this country and around the world more and more is almost greater to lesser. They're almost thinking, you don't know, when did you get your degree in medicine?
Well, that's what I will share with you, that is exactly the dialogue, so to speak, because when I told them why I was not, I said, I don't want to sound like I'm some kind of a paranoid, insecure patient. I am simply saying to you that the documentation that I have carefully researched does not suggest that this is the optimal solution. And the response was, and where did you go to med school?
Well, and I think that, again, they're dealing with something totally different. I'm not dealing with what med school taught. I'm dealing with life.
Right.
So I want my clients to learn how to live. I want to learn how to live. Okay, now, you know, I'm over 60 myself. I haven't seen a doctor in 34 years.
That's why you're alive.
I mean, to me, it's not, I don't have anything against if somebody wants to go and get a checkup and blah, blah, blah. But if that keeps you from understanding your own life better, and your body is a part of your life, the last time I checked, then it's a bad thing. If you're going to leave all the decisions that you make about your life
to someone
else, whether it be about money, whether it be about how you believe, whether it be about how you live with your body, then you've got a real serious problem going on, because you can make it along for a while.
For a while.
But then a crisis will come.
Inevitably.
And then you get that report card.
Right.
Let me tell you how you did on the last test here. Okay.
Well, not to interrupt you, but I must. But for those who have gone through the flu and are now back to themselves, I can only conclude that it's coming again.
Well,
because the immune system has not recovered. The circumstances and situations that caused that door knock and then push in the door have not been remedied.
Well, I think that, again, if you're in a crisis situation, you do take steps of precaution. Yes, it is good to keep a clean environment, scrupulously clean, but that's environmentally. So I'm going to keep my table washed off. I use soaps and things.
Clean
and
things.
I clean that. I'm not spraying on, you know, this, that, and the other. I
Uh-huh.
might use a touch of bleach, just, you
Uh-huh.
know, because I'm old school,
Okay.
right? But
Leave that bleach alone.
yeah, the bleach is serious stuff. I use
I'm not kidding you.
hydrogen
Okay,
peroxide.
thank you. I'm okay
Um,
with the H2O too, but
but
bleach is a little bit
then
scary.
you also have to deal with an internal
Cleaning.
cleaning, or and that's where it gets a little trickier because have you ever seen a picture of a McRib before it's cooked?
I don't eat
It's a
meat.
bubble gum color.
What?
It's a bubble gum color
What?
before it's cooked. Even McNuggets are like pink.
What is that from?
Because,
Is that a preservative?
No, it's because it's not real food. They've kind of amalgamated different ingredients to come up with this thing, and then they've put those spices there
to make it
you
delightful
know,
to the
delightful.
taste.
And as long as the taste and the texture and chewability and mouthfeel are right, people are not asking the question,
What is this?
what part of the cow is this
What
McRib?
is this?
It's not.
It's not.
See,
So
I
let me just conjecture here. So people go back to their patterns of living and
Yes.
eating things that are not nutritious and sustaining on a cellular level, and the immune system is still, in fact, I would say, having had a bout with the flu, they're probably more compromised now than they were before.
Well, your body does what it needs to do for recovery.
Yes.
Okay. And
Thank God.
the thing is that sometimes people take antibiotics and all of this. The antibiotics don't really work for the flu unless there's a secondary bacterial condition. Antibiotics, but it used to be years ago that's the first thing they give you. But that's caused an imbalance of stuff in the world. Another reason why people are so set up to be sick. You ready for this?
I'm listening.
The animals are fed antibiotics.
Oh.
So that when they're eating that Kentucky Fried Chicken or wherever, unless you're getting something that is not specifically using an antibiotic or a hormone, a growth hormone, your body is being exposed, and the bacteria say, oh, I've seen that game before. I knew what to do.
Yes.
So then you're lowering your body's ability
to
resist that bacteria or to balance it out, you see, because, and this is a little bit more technical, but the bad bacteria are generally what we call anaerobic bacteria, as opposed to the aerobic bacteria, those that use oxygen in its processes. So the more you let those anaerobic bacteria grow, the more you're going to see signs of my tongue is white, my breath is, I'm a little gassy. You know, I don't know, ooh, why do I have so much gas? It's your body sounding an alarm saying, I think you ought to check this. I think you ought to get a little bit better bacteria palette in your system. I think you ought to change what you eat. I think you ought to not eat that. And you have to investigate that. But most people just wait till they're sick.
But see, the reason that I am excited about you talking about this subject is because I believe and trust in your advice. And I say that because, as you and I both know, a couple of years ago, you told me something, and it truly did come to pass. And I was very, very sick. I'd never been sick in my life. But you identified some things, and I must say that at this point in my life, under your guidance, and it has not been formal, you know, we're friends, but it has so turned my way of living around. And I mean, I work out, I do all that, but it's the whole issue of how are we living our lives?
That's the only issue.
I mean, and I'm around so many people in my age group Dr. Howard, that are sick.
Well, I think that's why cancer is on the rise. It's
Oh,
just a
my
simple
God.
report card of how we're living, but it can be generational, okay?
Yes.
Because my grandparents, my great-grandparents, whatever, they have given me this much strength to live on, or this much, or this much. But I don't know which one is in the account. So how much am I going to spend out of that account?
Right.
I'm not going to spend more than I'm putting in.
Okay,
But most people are spending without looking. And they expect the doctor to look at what's there. And the doctor don't know about your genetic inheritance.
Well, he
or
can't.
anything.
He can't because it's just too much. And again, under the pressures they're under, 15 minutes in the office is considered a good consult.
Well, even if they have an hour, personally, I don't think it's their, that's not up to them. It's up to them to help us understand issues, and then we make our decisions. You see?
Well, this is what I like to, because time is kind of concluding here, but this is my takeaway from today, and that is that the flu epidemic was predictable. You didn't need a Ouija board to see it coming. The most probable reason is because of your very poor immune system.
Well, can I
Yeah.
throw in there are genetic predispositions to a weak immunity, and I'll give you one quick example.
Okay.
If my mother or my grandmother or both, or my father and grandmother were alcoholics,
Okay.
then I'm going to have a bacterial system that's probably compromised just from what they did.
Just from what they did.
See, and that's not my fault, but I do have to recognize when I see the signs of, oh, I need to pay attention to this. And so, as we had discussed before, my grandmother, my father, my mother, my grandfather, my uncle, aunts, all had cancer. You see?
In your situation, yes.
And so, when I saw that, I was like,
Whoa.
I don't want to go down that road. So what did I do? Did I find some magic pill, whatever? No, I just learned to live better and build instead of taking
away
from my resources, my life vitality. And I think that's true with influenza. It's a serious thing. We don't know what's out there lurking.
No, we don't.
But I don't sit and worry about it. I look at building my strength, right? There might be somebody who come and beat me up, right? There might be.
Yep, it could happen. It could happen.
But I'm going to be as prepared as I can be, and I think that's, you live life. You don't live in fear of things.
Can we have your phone number?
Okay, my phone number is 513, and my office is 755-2019. And my cell number that I use for business is 513-571-9210.
To my viewers who've been watching this show about the flu epidemic, and it is nasty and ugly and all of the above, I hope that you've been able to get information to allow you to live a little bit of a different life. I will say again and again and again that you're going to have to make some changes if you're going to live. And believe me, you can be sick and still be alive, but your quality of life is going to be compromised. So again, as your host, Michelle Graves, I appreciate you being a part of my world, and thank you so much for watching this program on the flu epidemic. You take care, and God bless you. The golden field.